Well, if you could see the background on my page that says this is fine, I guess everything is fine in Philadelphia Flyers. I had to do it, dude.
Well,
I had to do it.
serenity now would be our key phrase for tonight, folks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyways, welcome into I guess you could say another edition of, I guess you could call it the Third Line Jawn Flyers postgame show. I'm your host, James Scores, and with you, and with me as always is my companion and my brother from another, Joey Marks on this night. Joey, how you doing, my friend?
Well, we know Carolina's good, but we already knew that. I mean, damn. I mean, putting the whooping on us like that in our own house, sheesh. Uh,
Yeah, that
this
sucked up
is
that one.
this is a key of how far away the Flyers are from being where Carolina is.
Yeah,
That this is proof of that, and so wow, just wow.
yeah, yeah. Wow, wow is the right word I would describe it to. Before we get into our recap of this game, and there's a lot to unpack here, obviously. Um, I gotta say something about this too. I am for one that I would always be harping on goaltenders and how goaltenders need to be efficient in this league. If I ever see Sam Ersson back in goal ever again in Flyers orange and black, don't even start him at any time anymore. Okay, because here's the thing I really need to understand here. John Tortorella keeps on playing this goaltender every single time and has the same level of results here and then and there and everything included about that too. Because I'm getting to the point now that this has been going on now for quite some time now, and I'm getting really, really tired of the same old bullshit that he puts out there and all the other stuff in between. Yeah, I'm pissed off, Joe. I got a lot of problems with this people with the
I'm gonna let you cook, dude. I'm gonna let you cook. Go
because
ahead.
I'm at the point now. I've seen enough of Sam Ersson. I have seen enough of Sam Ersson. I've seen enough. Frankly, I've seen a lot of everything included about that too. I've seen enough of everything that John Tortorella has done. I mean, look, he's a great coach. He's been good, but this is then getting to the point now when the team is depleting every single chance they get. Why are you not calling a timeout to try to get these guys, like try to calm these guys down? But holy shit, we got a lot to get to in this matchup because this is just, oh my god. If I said the F word, I'm gonna probably get kicked off this network. So allow me to introduce myself. Like I say, yeah, up there, this is fine. No, it ain't. No, it's not. Time's yours,
The-
Joe.
yeah, well, here's the thing. You have every reason to feel the way that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Every reason. We've said this at nauseum on this show,
Mm-hmm.
is that this team just doesn't have a goaltender.
Nope.
Tortorella can throw Sam Ersson out there, and he could think he's a starting goaltender, but you're kidding yourself. I mean,
Right.
as a coach, as management, I don't care who the top free agent goaltender is, and I'm talking to Danny Briere, and I'm talking about months ago,
Right.
like at least 2 months ago. I don't care who the top free agent goaltender is. I don't care if he's 40 years old and he got cooked like the last 10 games of his career.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is, if you are going to continue to hit your head against the wall and expect a different outcome, you're kidding yourself.
Right.
And I don't care if John Tortorella coached 600 some odd games or 1,000 odd games. You've got to know when it's time to look. We'll talk about the game, but one of the key parts of the game that I got more infuriated with, and Bush even said it, and good for him, but when that original fourth goal, was called back for being offside,
Right.
Bush said, "Okay, I guess John Tortorella is going to, pull Ersson."
Person. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, all right. So the goal got called back. It was deemed a no goal. It was
Yep.
offside. Okay,
Yep.
fine. But that shouldn't negate Harrison's lack of play, lack of success in that game.
Right.
From beginning to end, it just seemed very amateur. And this is a guy that I'm not going to sit here and put on a pedestal for anybody. Not one of these goaltenders deserves to be in the NHL. That that
No.
that may be a blanket statement, but this is the truth. I mean, look, does the defense need help? Yes, absolutely. But you can't let soft rebounds go into your net. You can't let
Nope.
your own defenseman screen you and say nothing and do nothing. You can't sit there and be the starting goaltender day in and day out 60 to 70% of the time this season and play as putridly as Erison has. I would almost put a guy back there that wants to, reclamate his career,
Hmm.
guy that wants to fight for another contract, maybe not here, but somewhere else.
Hmm.
And at least you get a guy who's got some damn heart, some passion, some
Right.
wherewithal, some knowledge. No, you're going to put Sam Harrison back there and just say, sink or swim, kid. You're making the goaltender is the guy that at the end of the day is going to win or lose the game for your club. Because
Right.
if he gives up 4 goals like they did tonight,
You're not
does it
going to win.
matter if they scored 3? No, they still lose. But you can't win if you're already putting your wingers and your team behind the 8 ball by that much. 2 goals in the first period, James. Just it's
Unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And that's the thing too. Ryan Swoop checks in and says Ron Bredemore was my Flyer all-time favorite Flyer, but his style play of complete level. Now his style hockey as a coach has become a favorite style in hockey. No con, no conscience. I'm sorry. So he also checked in again. Says all out, very aggressive attacking style hockey team, nonstop pressure as a complete team. And even the one that we had early on our sister station, Hardcore Sports Network, Sully checks in and says, Erson is not a number one. Definitely need a legit goaltender going forward. Erson is better off as a backup. I agree. And I'll say this too. I know we got a lot to get to with the recap and all that, but I don't want to see him back ever again in the Flyers pads. I mean, this is the thing that drives me crazy about it is because I had this conversation with somebody that I know very closely, and my dad talked a lot about we need to bring back Bobrovsky. We need to bring in somebody in that field that has that same kind of level field. Tonight, Piotr Kochekov, whatever his name is, he looked like Bernie Perrot out there. He looked
yeah,
like Bernie Perrot. I'm not even kidding you. I
yeah.
mean, I've seen the Hurricanes for years have great goaltenders. Cam Ward, Frederick Anderson, yada, yada, yada. Even Kochekov tonight. This cannot happen, especially when a team is. I mean, look, I understand they're trying to do a rebuild, but we're probably 5 years away from being 5 years away, Joe, and I'm getting tired of it.
Listen, here's the way I see it. I was going to open the show with asking you this question because of what you're
Sure.
talking about with the Hurricanes goaltender. There were a couple of opportunities tonight by the Flyers that felt like they were just so close and that felt so familiar throughout the season. So the question becomes, are the goaltenders around the NHL all that good, or are offensive players not good enough? And
I, th-
like,
I think it's a little bit of both, gonna admit, but I
yeah,
think it's. I don't know,
but my
man.
but my wife, she comes in and she'll watch the Flyers game and
Mhm.
she'll curse out the goaltender, probably worse than you, and
Oh hell yeah,
we
yeah,
can't say
right?
half the stuff she says on air.
No,
But the other point is that she kind of hit on the offense tonight, and she said, "Why can't they get their act together?" And I said, "Well, they're fourth youngest team in the league, and yet they play the slowest. Like they play with the least amount of energy." And
it's like
she's
they're
like,
in mud all the time, man. It's
"So
like just skating in mud.
she's like, maybe," and my wife, of all people, brought this point up.
Right.
Maybe it's not just the energy. Maybe there's something else wrong. And
Hmm.
I go,
That's
that's
a
an
good point.
interesting point. Like maybe there's some, whether it's skill or whether it's, you know, the idea of like not good enough yet. Like,
Hmm.
who knows? Is it development? Like, we've talked about this before with John Tortorella. Is
Yeah.
he the right coach to develop this young talent? I don't know. He's a hard ass coach. Cool. He's disciplined. Cool. But can you develop these
These
players?
young guys. Yeah, these
Yeah.
young players. Absolutely. And Brandon Bozak checks in and says they should forfeit the rest of the season and stop taking money from their fans. It's criminal that they can't give fans what they want and also what they basically what came to see and cheer about too.
Here's the thing about the Flyers Nation, and me and you know this more so than most,
Sure.
is that we bleed this. The reason why you're so passionate about this coming on the air tonight is because, much like he said, you're sick and tired of it. Like the product, we get it that they are in rebuild mode, but
Hmm.
there is also a bit of a malpractice when you're putting someone like Sam Erison in the pipes
Over and
and
over again.
over and over again and expecting a different result. Like you're doing something wrong as far as a coaching staff. It's malpractice to be able to do that. And I can't I get it. Like I understand to a level why like they have to play with the players they have. I get that part.
Sure.
But you don't have to keep running into the same wall over and over again
No.
just because.
God, no.
At this point, like Fedotov, he's not a gem, but like he's 20 something years old.
Give
He's
them
got six.
experience.
I would say, okay, if you're gonna suck, if you're gonna really suck, let this guy that is an anomaly. Like Emerson's just a goalie. This guy Fedotov is 6'8". He's more than just a goalie. Can he
Right.
really do it?
Right.
And we know that Emerson, we could check the box. He
Hmm.
can't. Do we
Yeah.
can we say without certainty that Fedotov can or cannot do it? Sure, I've called him an AHL starting goaltender and not even close to an NHL goaltender. I understand that, but I still haven't seen enough. He could impress me enough, and he has impressed me in spots in this season, but he hasn't impressed me enough to give him that NHL, patch.
Yeah. And
Just
that
it's not there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, even like Kolosov, I mean, like it's kind of like you got like it's basically like feast or famine with some of these players. You
Yeah.
know, it's just that, dude. Look, I look. I understand this was not supposed to be a Stanley Cup contender type of year. I understand that they're in the midst of a rebuild too, but the way Urson has played in these games, I'm thinking like, okay, are we really like? I mean, that like you said earlier, like is it the team playing this way or is it the goaltender? And honestly, I don't know if Tortorella is being toned out by the team. I don't know if the players are toning out on him either. But something's just got to give. I mean, if you want to play, look, I understand you're not going to make the postseason. I understand that completely. But just show me a little effort just to go into next year, for God's sake.
Here's the thing. At the beginning of the season, and I know it's different in the beginning of the season from the end, but here's the
Right.
thing. If in the beginning of the season, when we saw these guys like play good games against
Mm-hmm.
good teams, we were like, wow, okay, they got some talent. They may have something here. Okay, it's worth watching. I like
Yes.
this. But like now, it just feels like the air has been let out of the balloon.
Correct.
And I don't know what the justification is for that. And you know what? There's two people that I would exactly blame for this on an in-game on ice responsibility, and that's Sean Couturier and John Tortorella. Because you know what? One wears the captain and one is the coach. And
Right.
if you can't get your guys to play together and be cohesive. I mean, there was James in the last 10 games,
I
I've
know.
heard about 20 2-on-1 opportunities, and they missed every single one of them. Like, not one
Unbelievable.
of them did they score a goal. I'm like, okay, and a lot of them were like TK and Mitchkov, and it's like, okay, the opposing goaltender isn't Dominic Hasek back there. Can we stop acting like you can't break down a goaltender with a 2-on-1 and on-man rush? This should be in your wheelhouse. And
Absolutely.
this kind of proves to me that may be something John Tortorella isn't focusing on. If I'm seeing it in the last 10 games, how is the coach not
Not seeing it.
seeing it? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And Brandon checks it again. He says this team gave so much effort last year compared to this season. The rebuild looked promising, and now it looks like the organization, excuse me, has dug themselves in such a hole. I'm not sure how they get out of this. Yeah,
Look, I
I
think
don't
there's
know
a
either.
core. I just think the message has been lost. I think whatever the message was in the beginning of the year, it's gone. The
Right.
air is out of the balloon. It's just you have to figure out how to reinflate these guys to believe in themselves again and to
Yeah.
believe in each other again. And like Owen Tippett has got skill. Mitchkoff has got skill. Guys like Nolan Cates got skill. The Foresters got skill. These
Hmm.
guys have skill. There's no doubt in that. TK has got
No
skill.
question.
But here's the thing. If you can't get these guys to work together, it means nothing.
It
It
doesn't.
means nothing.
It's like it's like kind of like the Mike Tyson strategy, like until you get punched in the face. That's when you're talking. I like what you said here too about like how many times you're gonna bang yourself into the wall until your head like gets a concussion or something like that.
It's the
It,
definition of insanity. It,
it
it,
is
it really is.
exactly. It
And
really
like
is.
that this is the thing, and to go where the commenters going, and we'll get through the recap real quick because it's
Yeah.
it's not worth really reviewing too much. But the one commenter said, like it's an indictment what the Flyers organization is putting these fans through with the remaining home games, and I
Um.
completely agree.
Yeah. Basically, we got a Hurricanes fan checking in and says, I don't think it's good God. I think it's a good game, guys. Despite the score, I'll be rooting for you to beat Tampa Bay and Washington in the next couple games. Hey, you played a good game tonight, man. I mean, I got to tell you what. If I got to say
Hey,
right now, I'll say this about Gossespierre, man. You guys got a good got a good defenseman and a good goaltender in the near future, my friend.
yeah, and I'll say this too. You're welcome because a
You're
lot of the
very
guys
welcome.
that a lot of the guys that you guys have that are especially from Rod Brendamore. I want Brendy to come home. Like at this
Absolutely.
point, if we're talking about coaches, like and I get the Hurricanes fan doesn't want to hear this. He's like, no, you ain't taking my coach. No, I get it. But like that guy behind our bench, man, that's the kind of guy. If it's not Rod Brendamore, like then it's got to be someone in that same ilk. And
Yeah.
you know, I'll throw a name out there because he is
Well,
uh
Mike says Gossespierre, so we could like him
yeah
put his name in a hat too. But
yeah. And like there was another guy that JJ mentioned. I forget who it was. It was in the fourth line.
Jankowski.
Yeah, no, he can't. He didn't come from the. Did he come from the Flyers? No,
No,
he.
no, no. I'm sorry. I'm
It
sorry.
was another guy that came from the Flyers that was on the fourth line, I believe. But the interesting thing is this guy, if we're talking about a coaching change and in the same ilk as Rob Brendamore, this
Hmm.
guy's already in the organization. He works within the organization. John LeClair.
Yeah.
And if you could see John LeClair behind the Flyers, you know, the bench,
Sure.
maybe you have someone like Mitchkoff or Owen Tippett setting up in the office like Leclerc used to do back in the day, and
Yeah.
maybe that changes everything.
Yeah.
Like that's a key.
Yeah. And Mike checks it again and says, "Well, he's a Philly kind of guy, but I'm glad he's ours for now."
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you got. I mean, look, you guys got a great team up there. I mean, look. I mean, as long as I've been around, I mean, the Hurricanes have been one team that even with Brendan Moore and the Eric Stalls and Cam
yep,
Wards and all that,
nope,
they are a real feisty team. And by the
yeah,
way, they could be a Stanley Cup contender when it's all said and done, depending on what Ovechkin does in the season. But look, I mean, I always seen them play very good success. They're a very successful team. I mean, it's just man, I'm just jealous. We're just
put
jealous over here.
put it this way, and this is really going to get the guy from the Carolina Hurricanes fan. It's going to get his antennas up, but it's going to get your antennas up too.
Okay.
Carolina has beaten the Flyers 8 straight in a row
Oh
at
my
the
god.
barn.
Oh my god.
8 straight. If they win one more at the barn, they would tie the longest winning streak at against the Flyers at home in franchise history. And so, like, just let that sink in a little. Like, that is amazing that this kind of team comes in season after season and dominates in our house.
Yeah, and Mitch Kopsky checks in again. It says actually checks in for the first time tonight. I haven't seen you on this text board a lot with Flyers hockey. I know we can both relate now with the Sixers and Flyers, but all good here. What's going on, Mitch? How you doing tonight? Also, by the way, check out his podcast on our sister or actually no, Stream Punk Entertainment. Pardon me, for Fly Like an Eagle every single Friday, talking all things birds, and also hit that like and subscribe button, Mike. We really do appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a stat, too. I mean,
Yeah.
and maybe we should rip this band-aid off about the highway reel before we go any closer. Because
Yeah. Let's get
what,
into it. Let's just speed through this recap.
yeah, sure. All right. So, first period, it was basically Taylor Hall embellishing, and we all know that at first it was like, okay, I mean,
Well, I thought it
it,
was Otto or Acho. Acho was first period, first goal. Then it
oh,
was
yeah, that's right.
Jankowski.
Yeah, Sebastian Aho. That's right. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, Sebastian Aho opened the scoring to make it 1-0 Canes.
Yeah.
And then the Jankowski player that we talked about earlier, red hot. So he's got a
Yeah.
couple
And we're not
goals in the last
talking
few games.
about and we're not talking about the former Philly Jankowski. I was like, yo,
Yeah, yeah,
I remember that guy.
yeah. He's playing pretty good up at spring training right now too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jankowski and probably up there they call him the dude up there too because he's
Yeah.
because the thing about it too. So he made it 2-0 for Carolina. Later in the second period, Terrell Hall made it a 3-0 lead after the embellishment. And the big story in this game, like I had in this game, so I didn't have much of it. I know, actually, you know what? I'm going to post something from the Chicago Wolf kind of territory, but
here we go. Here we
um,
go.
so Mike, if you don't, if he'll probably understand this too because that's his affiliate up in his Chicago Wolves are affiliated with Carolina. Kochekov was a MVP, I think, back in that Calder Cup run in 2022, and he's basically playing unstoppable right now. Not a Shaladeoff guy though, but he's one of the Chicago Wolves guys from that previous Calder Cup.
This goes back into your argument full on. Now I'm going to step in the pedestal and say, we need to bring the guy from the Chicago Wolves. If he's grooming guys for Carolina and they're the juggernaut that they are, we need to bring that guy here.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a team in Pennsylvania tonight playing up in Chicago right now in the Hershey Bears. So I'm thinking like, hey, look, Hershey's not far away from us right now. Give us that experience, Hershey, a little bit. Help a brother out for a little bit too, and say, hey, what's it like over in Chicago? You know, give us some like a little tardiness too. You know.
Can we get a charter flight out to Hershey for Danny Briere? Go talk to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, talk to Wayne Mesper. He'll treat you well.
Yeah, like just have a cup of coffee with the man, just to see what's what. You know,
Yeah.
like what can it hurt? I mean, look, there's a part of this, and we have fun with this, but like there's a part of this that we want to see this team succeed, and we want to see the team thrive, much like Carolina's thriving. And look, we can sit there and say that this is a rebuild, and it absolutely is, but the problem is going to be what are the next pieces to fall into place? Is it John Tortorella being out? Is it, someone like Sam Harrison being out and just completely scrapping the goal? Look, I'm at this point, if you're a goaltender on the Flyers, your walking papers are waiting for you at the door.
Right.
Because I don't care if we get a free agent goaltender. I don't care if we get multiple free agent goaltenders. I don't care if we get one or two goaltenders in the draft. I don't care at this point. I want goalie and the defensive position to be shored up. And all I really want, I get it. People want like a sniper and they want offense and everything. But you got to shore up that defense before you can do anything offensively.
Yeah, and
And
that's the big thing.
that's the number one thing. And if you can get a center that's also a sniper in the draft, I'm all for that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And even
these
Mike checks it too. He says the Wolves have a good system down there, and since they crank up some good players, there's a lot of good players on that team too. I mean, they got like Jack Drury, like Chris Drury's son, hard to believe too. So there's a lot of good players on that team. So we can relate. I mean, probably I'm a closet Carolina Hurricanes fan without telling you, but
actually I think they traded Jack Drury.
oh
They
yeah,
yeah,
that's right,
he
that's
was
right.
part of that. That was the one guy that I remember hearing about tonight because all three players that scored tonight were part of that trade with
Oh yeah, that's right.
Ritner,
With Rantanen, right?
Rantanen, yeah. And
Yeah,
so they
yeah, yeah,
were
yeah.
all three a part of that trade. And so I'm just like, okay, like enough. But
Yeah.
here's my thing. Mike, from us to you, if you find yourself in Chicago and go to one of those Chicago Wolves games, we won't take Rob Brendamore from you. But if you can go talk to that coach of
Give
yours
us
in
John
Chicago,
Anderson, man. If John Anderson's still there, man, give us a call. John Anderson, I'm begging you, give us a call, my friend.
listen, we are up for sale here. Like we are not beyond begging for coaches that can raise the level of
Oh my
talent
God.
that's on this team. Because honestly, I go back to John Stevens.
Yeah.
When John Stevens, if you remember when John Stevens got promoted from the Phantoms to the Flyers, it was because we were bringing up all this youth that Stevens actually coached in the
Hmm.
Phantoms. So it made sense because the players were familiar with the coach was familiar with the players.
Hmm.
And then the Flyers boneheaded GM decided, hey, we don't need this guy anymore. And it's like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, you let him go
Yeah.
to the Kings, and they wins the Stanley Cup. I'm like, what are we
As an
doing?
assistant too. I think that was Dale Sutter, was it? Like under Dale Sutter. Like he was on that coaching
Yes,
coaching
yes.
class with the Kings. Yeah. And
And
we're still suffering the penalty to this day, even with
yeah.
Pascal. He's like the Bobby Bonilla of the Flyers. We're
Oh,
still
jeez.
paying. We're still paying.
He's somewhere in Florida collecting a paycheck.
Probably up in Russia looking to go up in space. Humongous beak.
Yeah, he's got enough money to do it. Why not? You know, he can get one of those Virgin Galactic kind of like spaceships and go up into space. He's a space cadet as it is to begin with, so he will fit
You'll probably
right
see
in.
him on Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, like probably soon too.
You know, I just want to go out into space. You've been in space for years,
Yeah,
dude. Like you just
you've been
haven't
hallucinating
known it.
about going to space for years, Bubba.
Like you thought you were in space when you were here in Philadelphia.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you were a space cadet then. Like now, forget it. So let's get down to
Our grades.
our grades because there damn sure
Uh,
wasn't an MVP.
no, there's no MVP on this night. The only probably MVP is probably the Chicago Wolves winning against Hershey right now, but that's about
Yes.
it. That's probably about it.
Well,
Well, we can all agree this has been an epic fail again. Once again,
yeah,
by the Flyers.
yeah.
It's
It's an epic
Groundhog Day
fail.
again.
It's an epic fail on so many different accounts because
Yeah,
it is when it comes down to this team, it's not just a matter of okay, they fail because their goaltender stinks. It's they
right.
fail because they can't clear the puck. It's they
Yep,
fail because they can't execute on a 2-on-1 odd man rush. It's
yep.
they can't execute when the puck is loose in the crease. Like it's execution. You can have every single skill set you want, but if you can't execute, you're like T.O. in Freddie Mitchell's body.
Ooh.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a good line, man. That's a really good comparison. Yeah, I mean, this game was probably one of the. I mean, like I alluded to earlier, I'm like we are both real big time Major League Flyers fans, and we want them to succeed. The
Mhm.
problem is, it's just that after a while, it's just that after hearing that same old song and dance and hearing them saying, "Oh, we'll be better and we're doing this and all that," I got to say something about this too. I didn't even notice about Kuzmenko, but shit, dude, he's on the first line now with Kopitar and the other guy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
actually on a first line with the guys right now. I'm thinking
yeah.
like, look, I understand Kuzmenko's not one guy you don't want to like build around, but he gave you something. I mean, this team's got nothing. Nothing.
And like, here's the thing: there's one thing to sell off a guy, a piece that you feel like you could get something back.
Yeah.
But with Kuzmenko's trade, it wasn't
Mhm.
enough back to validate the trade in my mind. I
Yeah,
think it was just, we don't want to deal with this money. We don't
that's
want to
right.
deal with this salary. So we're gonna just drop that salary while we can for a draft pick. And you know what? Here's the bottom line of it too, James, is that it's fine to drop Cat. It's fine to trade to go get picks. It's
Hmm.
fine to do all that. But we brought this up on the show earlier on our Patterson Ave sports show this morning.
Right.
Is if you don't execute what your plan is, if you don't hit as far as the GM does not hit in the draft, then it's all for naught.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, I guess we could just go into our like recap on around the NHL on this night,
Yes.
just just to give us a little bit of a beast of burden of something like that. So, all right, let's get into the around the NHL right now. There's a couple games going final right now on this Saturday night. A couple matinee games happened today. Vegas winning over. I'm sorry, no, Buffalo winning over Vegas today, 4-3 in the shootout. The Penguins winning over the Devils 7-3. Ovechkin, I did not hear that he was chasing another Gretzky record tonight, so I'm guessing he's still back at 886 for the moment. They beat it San Jose earlier 5-1. Toronto winning 4-2 over the Maple Leafs. Boston winning over the Lightning 6-2. Rangers getting a shutout 4-0 over Columbus. Montreal has a 3-1 over Montreal. I'm sorry, over Florida. Pardon me. St. Louis has a 3-1 lead in the third period right now over Minnesota. And the Predators and the Kings are just starting up right now. Actually, no, it actually started around. That's weird. They actually started a little bit earlier tonight. So that's a scoreless. That's scoreless right now in the first couple minutes of the third. And the final game on the Saturday night, it will be Chicago taking on the Vancouver Canucks. That's a 10 o'clock puck drop, so I'm guessing they'll be coming up very, very soon. And a lot of games. Actually, wow, there's a lot of games going on tomorrow for the NHL slate on Sunday. So the first one is the Golden Knights taking on the Red Wings. That's a 1 o'clock puck drop. Stars taking on the Avalanche. Ducks taking on the Blues. Oilers taking on the Rangers at Manhattan. Panthers taking on the Islanders and Belmont. Excuse me. Utah taking on the Canucks, and the Kraken close out the night against Philadelphia and the Jets.
It's see, here's the interesting thing, and to kind of encapsulate this frustration of a season and tonight
Mm-hmm.
is that if you want to take the blueprint, or if you want to have a blueprint for what this Flyers team needs to become, look at some of those teams like the Jets, like the Knights, like Carolina,
Yep.
like the Devils. Like, those teams are building, and they're building it through a core.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Carolina Hurricanes got
Right there.
dealt, dealt a bad hand and still rebounded. Like with
Yeah.
that Ratman thing, they still swapped out a guy that's serviceable. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't lose some of the quality talent, and they gained 2 first-round picks. So
That's all you need to know.
I applaud Carolina's GM for all of that maneuvering, despite some of the issues that they had. I mean, look, I get it. They wanted a
Definitely.
star, and instead of getting a star, they got a diva. And that's unfortunate. It
It's kind of
happens.
like another Cutter Gauthier situation with Rantanen. So if he, I
Yeah.
mean,
Maybe they need to be in Anaheim together. See how that works out.
yeah, right. I mean, I don't want him here. I mean, I know it's orange, but I want that guy in orange. You know what I mean? If he's gonna
Yeah.
be a cancer in that on that locker room. All right, that's gonna wrap up our portion of the third line Jawn Flyers post game show for tonight. I want to thank Joey once again for joining me once again here tonight, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for everybody chiming in. Thanks for everybody checking out on our social media platforms and everybody included. And now for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made it work here, for Joey Marks and for myself, James Scores here. This has been the Third Line Jawn Flyers postgame show, and don't go by this script. We're not fine. This is not a fine time to be a Flyers fan. Until then, we'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody.
Later.